This is why Bill Clinton should be in the Presidential Hall of Fame. His background information. His date of birth was August 19th, 1946, in Hope, Arkansas. He married Hillary Rodham Clinton in 1975. He was elected Attorney General of Arkansas in 1976. In 1978, he was elected governor of Arkansas, the youngest governor ever in the U.S. at age 32. He lost the next election for it, but then he won the next four. He was elected president in 1992. He went to Georgetown University for college and worked for Senator J. William Fulbright at the time. He went to Oxford on a scholarship, and then after 2 years went to Yale Law School, where he met Hillary Rodham Clinton. After graduating from Yale, he taught law at the University of Arkansas, and that's where he began his political career. In 1974, he ran against incumbent John Paul Hammerschmidt for a seat in the House of Representatives. He lost, but it was a decent race. For the 1992 presidential election, his campaign slogan was, "It's the economy, stupid," because President Bush at the time wasn't putting all of his focus into it, and we were in a bit of a recession. His most famous speech was probably his inaugural address. It was inspiring, and it brought up many things, like how it's the duty of the U.S. to help other nations in times of need. Throughout his career as as the president, the Democrats held the seat through 92 through 94 for the House and the Senate. Republicans held the House and the Senate all the rest of the years. Secretary of State. He had two, Warren Christopher and Madeleine Albright, throughout his time. There were three different Secretaries of Treasury: Lloyd Benson, Robert Rubin, and Lawrence Summers. Three different Secretary of Defenses: Les Aspin, William Perry, and William Cohen. His Attorney General the entire time was Janet Reno. His Secretary of Interior was Bruce Babbitt. Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Espy, and Daniel Glickman. He had four different Secretaries of Commerce: Ron Brown, Mickey Cantor, William Daley, and Norman Mineta. He had two Secretary of Labors, Robert Reich and Alexis Herma. Secretary of Health and Human Services was Donna Shalala.
That's a pretty cool name.
Secretary of Education, Richard Riley. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development was Henry Cisneros and Andrew Cuomo. Secretary of Transportation, Federico Pena and Rodney Slater. Secretary of Energy was Hazel Leary, Federico Pena, and also Bill Richardson. And then Secretary of Veteran Affairs was Jesse Brown, Togo West, and Herschel W. Gober. He had two Supreme Court nominees, one of them being Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and the other one was Stephen Breyer. Their landmark decisions consisted of Adirondack Constructions Incorporated versus Pena, which was a race-based discrimination, including discrimination in favor of minorities, and United States versus Virginia, which was a sex-based case, separate but equal military training facilities, and it said that they violated the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. One more was Romer versus Evans. It said a law cannot prohibit anti-discrimination protected class laws for sexual orientation. One of the scandals while Bill Clinton was president was the Lewinsky scandal. Bill Clinton had an affair with a White House staff member, Monica Lewinsky, then lied about it under oath, and then he was impeached December 19, 1998 for perjury and obstruction of justice. He was acquitted. Foreign conflicts. The major one was probably Black Hawk Down. It happened October 3rd, 1993 in Somalia. 2 Black Hawk helicopters were shot down, and 18 U.S. soldiers were killed and 73 were injured. Healthcare policies. Clinton was unsuccessful his first term with healthcare reform. But then in 1997, he signed the State Children's Health Insurance Program. It gave coverage to around 6 million children. The economy was fantastic by the end of his terms. Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1993 was signed into law and raised taxes on the wealthiest 1.2% of taxpayers. It also cut for 15 million low-income families taxes and made tax cuts available for 90% of small businesses. Different educational policies in the Clinton administration were things like tax credits for college, and then he also improved education for disabled children. This was through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which provide new technology and services for students with disabilities. And then he also helped with the restoration of the Everglades National Park with more protection over natural resources. Another policy was the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, which allowed gays to serve in the military, but didn't allow them to discuss it, which is pretty big right now, thinking about gay rights and all that. One example of landmark legislation was when Clinton passed the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It basically allowed people to still be covered for health insurance even if they lost their jobs. Okay, lifestyles in the 90s. Here's where it gets interesting. When teenagers started to become more individualized compared to conforming, and it was often represented through piercings and tattoos. It was also when people started to become pretty into athletics. The fashion. Boys back in the 90s had, sideburns, curtain hair, flannels, not nice flannels, but flannels. Girls, whole bleach blonde hairstyle going on, also in the flannel shirts. The music in the 90s was the best. Alternative rock, punk like Green Day, quite possibly the best R&B. Gangsta rap. I mean, who can forget about Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and Notorious B.I.G. hitting the spotlight? And then we have teen pop. Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Hanson. Is probably still one of my favorite songs. Different hobbies. Well, one of them was rollerblading. Pretty big back in the 90s. You also had movies though, like Titanic, Sixth Sense, and Schindler's List. All great. Seinfeld was on the air back in the 90s along with the Ren and Stimpy Show, and Beverly Hills 90210. Pretty sure you used to watch that, Mr. Biden. Don't lie. Also thought I should add in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out in the 90s. Sports. Michael Jordan hit the spotlight and revolutionized sports advertising in the 90s. Gatorade, Nike, different kinds. The U.S. hosted the World Cup in '94 and had record-breaking turnouts, which led to the creation of MLS. Wayne Gretzky was also tearing it up in hockey at the time. Some big names were Lance Armstrong, Michael Jordan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis. I have no idea why everyone loved Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe his accent, but he's weird. Family life. That was pretty much when it started to become more acceptable to have step-family members and also like half-family members. And there's the 90s and why Bill Clinton should be in the Presidential Hall of Fame.